Episode 1. Lake Erie Disaster, 1967, USA. August 27th, 1967. Northern Ohio. A small private airfield near Lake Erie. The morning fog drifts low over the water, cold, still quiet. 18 skydivers prepare for a routine training jump. It should have been just another day. But within an hour, they'd be floating over open water. The morning filled with sound, buckles snapping, voices the smell of fuel. They checked their gear, joked, took photos. A few smoked near the plane. An old B-25 Mitchell, a World War II bomber. Once it carried bombs. Now it carried people. The engines roared as they climbed inside. The metal cabin shook, the floor vibrated. Some stared out the small windows, others sat in silence. The pilot, Robert Carnes, had flown this plane for 10 years. He trusted the B-25 and the voice of air control. No one noticed the fog closing in. For PM, the B-25 lifts into the mist. Controller, you're clear to jump. Carnes, roger that. But the controller was wrong. The plane was already miles off the coast. Beneath them wasn't land, it was the lake. Inside, it was quiet again. The instructor raised his hand, get ready. The hatch opened. Wind rushed in. The first jumper disappeared into white. Falling through endless white. No sky, no ground, just silence. Then, a flash below. Water. Parachutes opened too soon. Too late to turn back. The first hit the water. Chutes dragged them under like anchors. One cut the lines, another yelled for help. The pilot circled above, confused. From the air, it looked like white dots on gray water. 16 never made it back. 2 survivors clung to their chutes, drifting for hours. Fishermen pulled them from the lake. The others were gone. One mistake, for miles off course. 16 lives lost. By evening, the wind was still. The lake turned to glass again. Parachutes sank beneath the surface. The pilots sat alone in silence. They jumped into nothing. Episode 2. Luxor Balloon Crash, 2013, Egypt. February 26, 2013. Around 7 in the morning. Luxor, Egypt. It began as a peaceful sunrise for dozens of tourists gathered near the Nile, ready to float above the Valley of the Kings in hot air balloons. Among them were travelers from around the world. 9 from Hong Kong. 4 from Japan. 3 from the United Kingdom. 2 from France. And 1 from Hungary. In total, 20 people including the pilot, all inside a large Sky Cruise balloon basket. The flights seemed routine. These tours happened every day. The pilot, Ahmed Abbas, had more than 10 years of flying experience. Before takeoff, he checked the equipment, lit the burner, a steady, controlled flame. Moments later, the balloon began to rise. Tourists laughed, filmed the sunrise, and pointed toward the ancient temples below. Everything felt calm. At roughly 300 meters, the pilot noticed a small gas leak. One of the hoses feeding the burner was seeping propane. He reached to close the valve, and then a flash. The propane tank ignited. Flames shot upward, racing through the hose toward the burner. Within seconds, the entire basket was on fire. Passengers screamed. Some tried to escape, but the height made survival impossible. 3 people jumped. 1, a British tourist, died instantly on impact. 2 others, a Japanese woman and a French passenger, were critically injured and later died in the hospital. Then, the fire reached a second gas cylinder. It exploded. The basket tore away from the balloon, and the burning envelope drifted briefly before collapsing to the ground. When rescuers arrived, the balloon and basket were completely destroyed. Of the 20 people on board, 19 were dead. Only the pilot, Ahmed Abbas, survived, with severe burns and fractures. Investigators later determined the cause: a leaking gas hose and a faulty valve. Hot air balloon flights over Luxor were suspended for months, but eventually resumed. Today at sunrise, Dozens of balloons rise over Luxor once again. Few mentioned that morning, when a peaceful flight turned into tragedy. When beauty burned. Episode 3. Dwayne Weston Base Jump Fatal Flight, 2003, USA. October 5, 2003, Colorado, United States. Dwayne Weston, a 30-year-old Australian base jumper and wingsuit pilot, was taking part in a demonstration flight at the Go Fast Games. Flying alongside him was Jeb Corliss, an American base jumper, his friend and teammate for the jump. The plan was for both jumpers to perform a perfectly synchronized flight. Weston quickly reached speeds of over 120 miles per hour, but a small miscalculation placed him lower than intended. His wingsuit couldn't adjust the flight path in time. Seconds later, he struck the metal railing of the bridge. The impact tore his wingsuit apart, and his parachute deployed too late. Dwayne Weston was killed instantly.